Bomb to bomb diggity. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Nilo Angelo G13, and I'm coming at you guys today with another review. Did I do a review before? I don't think I did. Regardless, movie review. Now, first I'm gonna get into this. Lately, I've been very, very busy, and I've had really no money to go to the movies, to go rent movies, and or play or buy any new video games that have been coming out. So it's been pretty hard for me to keep up to date. But thankfully, for my local library and my friends who I'm forced to buy me shit, I can still see stuff. Now, today I went to Blockbuster to pick up this movie called Insidious. And right off the bat, I could tell this is going to be really weird. So what happened was my friend Rob told me about this movie, and he said that it scared the shit out of him and my friend Roberto. So they were obsessing over it, and I try not to listen to hype too much for obvious reasons, because some people have different tastes. Rob, for instance, has the weirdest taste in movies, and he'll think the best stuff is terrible. Now, I'm not saying he's wrong, it's his own personal opinion, so there you go. So, I try not to listen to too much hype, but I have to say, it was pretty damn good. I just watched it here with my friends. Roberto was sitting over here, and Mike, and I have to say, it managed to scare the shit out of all three of us, even Roberto again. There's a very different style compared to what Leigh Whannell and James Wan have done before. They're the most famous for their movie Saw, the Saw trilogy. Well, saga, but mostly just trilogy. I don't think they really worked that much on the rest of the movies. I know they wrote the first three and directed them. No, well, wrote them. I don't think they worked on anything else besides that, which would explain why they got so shitty. But I have to say it was very good. It was I'm gonna try and describe it as best as possible without leaving too much, like without spoiling. Pretty much the whole premise is there's a boy who's going to be possessed by a demon, and there's it says right on the cover it's not the house that's haunted. The kid is haunted. The ghosts are trying to possess him, and that's pretty much the story. And it's disturbing, to say the least. It is quite disturbing. It's one of the few movies recently that's actually made me jump in my seat and make me go, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" So I have to give it props for that. As far as the writing goes, um, it was pretty damn good. It was a good movie, solid acting. I actually didn't really have any problems with that many people in the movie as they're acting wise, mainly because there's like 8 actors, which is one thing I like with Lee Whannell and James Wan is usually they make kind of like low budget films which still have very good shock and awe value and are good stories. The one thing, all right, there's gonna be spoilers. I'm gonna try and make them as little as possible, but oh yeah, there were a couple of problems I had with the movie. Not too many to count though, maybe one or two. But the good thing, I got good news. Pretty solid plot. I think I've seen it before. Something about that whole astral projection. His body's here, but not his soul. I think I've seen that before. Um, there, I might have been in a book I read, The Devouring. Um, Acting was good. The cinematography, the camera angles were flawless. I would expect nothing less from James Wan. He on amazing. I gotta say, this is one of his best. This is some of his best stuff. It's really good use of shadows. Really good use of shadows. In the point where there's one scene where you see a man standing on a staircase, but there's not a man there. It's just the shadow, and it looks disturbing. Because I pointed to it, my friend's like, "Holy shit, there's a guy." But in the next scene, it wasn't. So maybe it was a guy, maybe it wasn't. I don't really know. All I know is that it was creepy. You saw like in the trees, I saw a face, like a creepy demonic face. Which my friends were like, it's just trees blowing." I'm like, "Dude, there's a face in there." Very good use of shadows, and it's it looks amazing. It just looks amazing. Um, my favorite, one of my favorite scenes early on is they do a lot of like weird dream sequences, which involve like black and white corridor like of the house moving, and it's really it really is it's dark, but it really works, and I like it. Now, and I'm trying not to get into too many spoilers, but the one problem I really had with the movie was really towards the end. I see. I'm a firm believer in the whole horror sense of less is more. Like the less you actually see of the killer or the less you actually see of the monster, the more terrifying it really is. But near the end, spoiler, I mean, just, there's a scene where you see the monster, one of them, and it honestly just like reduced all sense of tension there really was. It went from being in the beginning of the movie you see him in a very brief flash, and it scared the living hell out of me. It really did. It it scared me so bad, and it was the smallest thing. It was really the smallest thing. You saw, spoiler, the mom is the father's mother is talking, and then she's like widens her eyes and it goes back to her son, who's the father. I think it was the father or it was the daughter or the mother. But you see the demon right behind her, like half his face was there. He was like, and it was just it scared the shit out of me. And it was only half of his face, which it's terrifying. But later in the movie, there's a scene where he goes to get his son's spirit, and you see him listening to really, of course, meaning to be weird jazz, not jazz. It might have been jazz, some really old like singing, and he has like these Freddy Krueger claws, and he's like sharpening them. He's like, and it just reduced all sense of tension. It really because like towards the beginning, you really saw it's very paranormal activity. You knew something was there, you just didn't really know what. Like in paranormal activity, you saw like the weird clawed feet, you saw like weird shadows and shit, but you never really saw if there was anything there. But in the end, you actually see that they're people. Like the ghosts are like all zombie-like. They're just like, I mean, it's not really creepy. It's just kind of like I don't know. It's really hard to put my thumb on it, only because I'm really when it comes to like really scary shit. If it really scares me, I'll be even more picky about it. If it disturbs me, I'll be even more picky about it. But this one did a little bit of both, so it's really hard for me to find a common ground. But I don't know. I have a really big problem when you take something that you don't know what it is. You know it's an evil spirit, but you don't know what the spirit is. And then you just turn it and you show it's like real people, which I could suppose adds to the shock value of, oh, they're just normal people, which makes it even creepier. But it just doesn't work for me. So, I don't know. It's one of those. If it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, there's still a lot of other stuff that will scare you. But I'm trying to think of there wasn't really much wrong with this movie, which I have to really I really have to applaud. Leigh Whannell, the writer, plays one of the Ghostbusters. He plays a member of the Ghostbusters, and they were fun. They were a little bit of comic relief, but the cool thing I liked with the comic relief is that they were there to be dorky and quirky, but there were scary scenes even then, which I love because it's like you expect most horror stuff, like in Paranormal Activity, it all happens at night. In this one, it happens during the day. It happens everywhere. It's like it's not gonna end. It doesn't stop because of the light. Well, sometimes it does, but it's very interesting. I must say I haven't seen a movie quite like it in a while, but of course, there were problems I had with it. And that biggest one was when I saw the demon. It really just reduces all tension because I really couldn't tell if it was really bad CG in the beginning, which the bad CG works. Because you couldn't really even really tell. You're like, is that a man? Is that bad CG? What is that? You couldn't tell, which made it look even less human, more something you can't really perceive or fathom, and made it even creepier, which I liked. I'm not saying like if you have bad CG, you're gonna have you have a great movie, but you get what I mean. But Insidious, definitely check it out. It's a hell of a ride. It's it's scary, it's serious, and if you like those like little horror haunting movies, this one's almost perfect. But again, in my opinion, it had like the same problem that Mirrors had, and I just saw Mirrors um, last night, I believe. Again, it's my library. I I like my library. I get most of my movies from. So um, I had a problem with Mirrors. I had a big problem at the end of it. I'll get into that review maybe tonight, maybe I don't know. But I had a big problem with Mirrors. Oh God. But yeah, I had the same problem where it turns out like demons and like you really see, although you don't really see the demon that much in Mirrors, which I kind of liked, but even then it possessed that girl and made her go crazy. Whereas when the boy is possessed, he's just standing there sleeping, being literally possessed, being controlled. But yeah, Insidious. Check it out. It's amazing. You know what? I'll give it a solid. Honestly, I'm gonna if I don't really do star ratings, but if I had to, I would still give it a 5. There were mistakes, but not enough to really make it really too noticeable. Again, it's one of those if it works for you, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But yeah, it's one of those movies that I it it's really hard to believe, and it's really hard to believe hype when you hear about a movie like that. Mostly because again, my friend Rob recommended Mirrors to me. He's like, it's amazing. It's one of the greatest horror movies I've ever seen, and uh, it was okay. It was all right. There's a couple of things that got me, but not really. I don't know. But yeah, Insidious. Check it out. It's amazing. It's pretty good. Again, I love the whole Leigh Whannell, James Wan thing going on they have, and I really hope they continue to make more scary movies that will continue to scare and disturb the shit out of me. So yeah, go see it. It's very good. Rent it. It's really good for if you want to have like a little get a bunch of your friends, grab your girlfriend, a couple of girls, a couple of your guys, get together for a big movie night. It's good. All right. So yeah, that's my review. I gotta really work on these.